Good morning.
Hello.
Good afternoon. Hello. On a weekday or a weekend, this is the weekend workout or a bodyweight practice to play with your strength. My name is Ian.
I'm Lauren.
Miss Flex here is Lauren, and together let's play with our strength, have fun with some fitness, but first we'll start with the warm-up leading to the handstands. That's the cue that we just need a little bit of space, and we'll start right away with the feet and get to the floor. At the foot, get to that ball of foot similar to a lunge stance, and then, as allowed, point to the toe, gently flex over that toe then, or a series of toes, and then back to the balls of feet. Let's just find a little bit of a rise, and then switch. So the foot that was on the ball of foot is now flat on the floor. Then with the other foot, do the toe point, gently ask permission again to go over on those toes, and then back to the balls of feet, rise up, and then cautiously and slowly down. Then another one of those, let's go over the toes, back to the balls of feet, up to another rise, and then a transition switch. And last one, toe point to the balls of feet, and then up to those demi points or balls of feet again, and just hold. Like a handstand, think pointing toes, straightening knees, ribs over hips with nice extended hips, and then slowly return to the floor. Now that the heels are on the ground, let's go into those knees. So it's those knees over toes, and then push those hips through to stand tall. Repeating twice more, think about pulling the feet behind you as you descend, and then heavy on those toes as you press yourself through to tall. We'll do that one more time, but this time when we get low, let's lift up those heels as high as you safely can, stay the same height, return the heels to the floor. 2 more of those. Get to those balls of the feet, stress out those quads, that's help support the knee, and then back to the full foot. And then this time, let's just get a little lower as you might lift those heels a little bit extra, and then get the knees to the ground. We extend those hips through, and from here, we'll transition to our wrist warm-up with some gentle head neck as well. So hinge on the hips, land fingers, calluses, full hands, blood donations face forward, armpits stay down. At the head neck, look forward, that's our neck extension, and then tuck a chin with the crown of the head reaching away from your spine, that's our neck flexion. Repeating again, extension forward, and then flexion, ending up with your eyes or nose looking between the hands. Then our first knuckle push-up from here aims to strengthen those wrists, so let's push into those balls of hands, just like the balls of feet earlier, and then right back down to the floor. Repeating again, aiming to create tension between the fingertips and the floor, the callus line on the floor, to keep the elbows straight, to keep the shoulders packed, and then after one more, we'll push away the floor and flick out those wrists. Let's just go right to the fists then and repeat the same idea. At the head neck, let's just do our lateral bend first. That's an ear to shoulder. As we move our head, think about moving the neck very little, as it's a stable joint, and we'll move the head just a little bit, always aiming to come back home safe in the middle, and one more ear to shoulder shrug is my 2 each side. Now go to one hand at a time here and open the fingers so they're flush with the floor. Keep the shoulder low to the armpit and the hip. Keep the elbow straight, and then flex over the wrist. Push into the floor to stack the wrist back up. Repeat on the other side. Fingertips open, gently flexing over the wrist. It's not urgent that the back of the hand get to the floor, and then create that strength to come home from that. Repeat again for the final one, just our sets of 2 here. Wrist flexion, it helps those wrist extension drills like push-ups or handstands. And one last time, over on the wrist, back to the knuckles, and then flick the floor away with the fingertips and add a little shakeout. Let's go back to that original shape with the hands, or more conventional wrist extension shape. Land fingers, calluses, hands, and hopefully that can feel a little bit more roomy after doing the flexion or the opposite drill. For one more exercise of the neck, let's do a rotation as to look towards the shoulder, and then along the floor and to the other shoulder or the wall beside you. Make sure we can breathe, and always check in on things big and small, like the fingertips, the wrists, and the head neck. So that repeating to that side gives me 2 each side. I'll push the floor away and get up nice and tall. From this tall kneeling position, let's go hands across the body. This is the last exercise for me before we throw it over to Lauren. And now just gently address that rib cage here. Side to side bend, up and over. The head can come with here, and we need to soften the side we're bending to. And then when we come up, anchor down, pull center. Repeating once more to get us 2 repetitions each side again. Soften to get low, anchor and tighten up to get tall. Easy effort low, a little bit more excitement to come back up. It's the same idea in the front back pathway, starting with a little bit of a chin tuck. Retract shoulders, flex the rib cage towards the hips, meaning round the upper back, and then again, pull down on those abs as we lift up through the rib cage. Squeeze those glutes. Let's repeat that one more time of a light effort, rib cage flex, brace those core muscles, and extend the T-spine or rib cage against the strength of your abs. Relax. For one more repetition at the head neck, rotate to the side of your choice. Now keep your head looking exactly where it is and turn through the body, keeping the hips forward, and then go head to center and let the torso then follow. Repeat to the other side. Head rotation. Keep the head still as you turn the body, and then return the head to the middle and the body to then follow. Repeating one more time, keep those hips extended as we rotate the head, turn through the body, keeping the head stable, return the head to the middle, and then the body to follow. And last repetition, chin tuck rotation, head neck, T-spine or rib cage rotation next. Find the head to the middle, let the body follow, and let it deal with things left and right and finding itself right at home in the middle. That's it for me for now. Lauren for more core warm-ups and such.
Let's warm up our core and then we'll stand up and warm up those hips a little bit. So our first core exercise here, let's get into our standard plank and just fire everything up. So with our hands nice and wide gripping the floor, our toes tucked behind us, we'll lightly scoop under our hips, squeezing our butt cheeks. Then we'll pull our shoulders out of our ears, engaging our lats. And now pretending to ripple the floor beneath you, pull your hands towards your knees. They're not going to move, but feel that tension. Now, your hands have tension. Your arms are nice and straight. Your shoulders are packed. Your abs are braced. Your butts are squeezed. Your knees are pulling up. There's not a muscle that's not working except for your jaw unless you're talking. For 3, 2, and then knees down. Whew. Take a second off that. Maybe lightly tip the tailbone to the ceiling. Push the hips back as you sit into your low squat narrow position here. And then let's pull ourselves back through into that plank again. Here we go. Pull on the floor. Let's engage. Lift up into that plank position. Hips are as high as shoulders. Butt cheeks are squeezed. Now let's pull in that X pattern. So imagine pulling your right hand to your left hip. And then your left hand to your right hip. And pull both at the same time. Tension everywhere for 3, 2. This time we're going to push the floor forward. The hips are going to lift up towards that down dog shape. But let's add a little bend in our knees and maybe step our feet to about hip width apart. We'll slowly walk our hands back into our hinge position. We'll have a nice long spine, and then we'll push the floor forward and back to stand up tall. Whew, give that a little shake. Let's warm up those hips for a set here. With our feet in a slightly turned out position, we'll take one of the legs and point it out to the side. Now first, let's just find a balance on that standing leg, which means the hip is pushing forward. We're nice and stacked. We could even think about coming up to a light balance and then coming back down. Now with this other leg, let's flex the foot. And then we'll point the foot and we'll land toe, ball, heel. Or take our bowl of punch hips and we'll lift them all the way up and over that standing leg and do the same thing over here. Square to the front of the room, hips forward. Find that light balance. Come down with control and then point the foot. Flex the foot. Point the foot. Pull. Adductors across. This time, let's keep the pointed foot. The hips in the bowl of punch stays level and stationary as we rotate the femur in, or internal rotation at the hip. Then we'll rotate the whole hip or leg open. One more time. Turn in. Turn open. Land toe, ball, heel. Pull yourself across. Get stacked. Pointed foot. Turn the whole leg in. Turn it open. One more time. In. Open, point, pull across. This time we're going to pull so much, we'll end up on a bent leg. We'll take the other leg and reach it long. Now we'll flex the foot. We'll keep the leg open, draw a light circle to the front of the room. Hips are sitting back a little bit, nice and stable. And then we'll reach the leg back to the side. Point, Pull yourself across. Try to stay the same height. Send the knees towards over the toes. Then flex the foot. Keep the inseam open. To the front. To the side. Point. Pull yourself back to center. And then we'll push down and away to stand up tall. Let's get back down to the floor. Do one more. Not the last one. Just another warm up for those handstand kick-ups. First, we'll hinge again. Then we'll walk ourselves out to our plank. Next, from our plank position, we'll create that tension as we did in that first round. So everything's tight, tight, tight for 3, 2. This time we'll flick the floor away with a leg, lifting up to that 3-point position. Now, as we're practicing kick-ups and crawls later, let's keep those hips square to the floor. Then pull yourself back through to your plank. Hold. Push the floor forward, lifting the hips, squaring up. Try to reach that top leg to the ceiling. Pull back through. One more time each leg. Hips stay square to the floor. Trying to gently press that heel towards the floor, but by straightening the knee and pulling through. Last time. That other leg might not get as high unless if you open your hips, you could probably reach more, but don't do that. And then pull yourself through. Hold for a second, and then push the floor forward, bending the knees, walking yourself back through to that hinge position. Whew, stand up tall. Wow, add a little crawl to that, a little locomotion to that. After,
some squats, or namely that movement clock to start. Lauren warmed us nicely on those single legs, so let's get right back there to start. My leg that goes out front stays straight. The leg that stays in place does the bending, and then push the hips forward to return the leg underneath. Stick with the same leg and reach to about diagonal, that 10 or 2 position on a clock, and push the hip through, again, to stay tall. Out to the side, point that toe. Could you lift it? And if you did, do the hip stay the same position? And then push the hip through. Repeat that same effort to the back corner, that 8 o'clock or 4 o'clock's position on the clock, and then tall again, and find straight back, that straight center position. We might lean a little bit, and then push the hip through, resetting. Switching. The leg that stays put does the knee and ankle and hip bend. The other leg stays straight the whole time. From that midnighter straight ahead, we'll reach the diagonal, and then push the hip through, cramping the glutes. Out at the side, we'll spend an extra little second here. And does your hip lift from your core, or does it stabilize from your core and lift from your hip? That's preferred. And then we'll take that back leg to the corner, making sure we breathe as well, and then together. And then the last one for now, right behind, and then push through. Let's transition to the floor through that toe squat right now. And then from that, we'll get into, I believe, more crawls. It's the knees over toes with feet as flat as they can be. And to help us get lower, we can slowly peel those heels up, quietly get the knees together, hips through, and then from this position, what's up?
let's add a little motion to that elephant position. So we'll place our hands on the floor nice and wide. We'll tuck our toes, lift our knees, and then lift our hips. Right now, let's add a slight bend to our knees. Now, we're going to take opposite hand and foot and go in a forward direction. For a couple steps, breathing, peeling the hands away. It's the palms that leave, and then the fingers. Hi there. And then we'll go backwards, back. Yeah. And then back to center. And now this time, could we travel in the forward direction a little bit faster? So opposite hand and foot, add a little hip hop in your step there. Nice. And then we'll go backwards, back. Good. Taking your time, coming to center, pressing yourself up to tall. And stand up, shake it out.
And through. We're going to have to cut this episode a little bit short, but we will be back live this coming Saturday. So as you finish here, Lauren, can we show them what a little bit of a taste is for that next session? Next session, we will continue to work on these tripod kick-ups. We want to make sure the shoulders stay over the hips. We're trying to get those baby airs first, and as strength and endurance allows, take your time to get nice and inverted, and as Lauren is, nice and quiet. We always often work in that I go, you go, so I'll do the same thing.
One little set here of kick-ups as we try to find that baby air. Now remember, progressions towards this are crawling, spending more time on your hands, getting towards that upside down. Breathing, reaching, and ultimately hitting that handstand. Takes a little time, patience, and practice.
That's one variation. The second variation is our handstand kick up, the version of the step in. This is my preferred version, so we do things that are preferred and those other things that are very challenging. And when we find that beautiful line upside down, we try to hang out there too.
So one last time on this step in entry, flicking the floor away, coming back up to that tall position. Nice. Breathing, reaching. Oh, look at that. So with a little practice in our crawls, a little practice in our planks, our walk up the walls, you too can get upside down.
Yes.
So stay tuned for more bodyweight practice this Saturday at 8 a.m. live on YouTube. And then we'll have our bar class today. So join us there for some hips and some push-ups. Until next time, take care.
Stay strong.
Check out our Patreon, like and subscribe on YouTube.
Don't forget that.
And we'll train soon.
Have a good day.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Whatever. It's all good.
I didn't write it down.
That's okay.